right, here we go. It is podcast time, and it's catching up time, actually. We are here at the Rove Hotel downtown Dubai in the podcast studio. Olga Nayda is joining me, and this is going to be a really fun conversation. I'm looking forward to this. Olga, I got to say right off the bat, when I don't even remember how we came to start talking to each other and get ourselves here into this studio.
I have a teammate who did it many times in a previous startup that he was working, and he's like, okay, let's do messages for people who is publishing. Maybe they will be interested in our startup. I said, why not? And we started this, and you replied to me, and then remind me in the middle of April.
Yeah.
Okay. And I put in my calendar, like, remind later. This was the first time when I really was reminding.
Okay.
Because in other ways, I was just forgetting. But I said, it sounds very, very interesting. I definitely need to remind to this guy.
So lesson number one for anyone who's watching or listening, LinkedIn is a very useful tool.
It's a powerful tool.
It is. I mean, the number of people who are connected, the number of people who are talking, the ability to share that information and keep having those conversations.
Yes. A lot of people messaging me about partnerships.
Yeah.
But of course, there is a half of messages is just kind of spam with the offering some services that I don't need. But for sure, like maybe 30% is a really brilliant contacts. And I was very, very surprised. Like last morning, we met a guy with my co-founder in the kitchen in our accelerator. He was just sitting, and we had a talk. And then we found out that he has about 1 million followers on LinkedIn. And he was just sitting and behind his computer,
just typing away.
Yeah.
You want to know what attracted me to say, hey, you know what? We got to get in here and have a conversation. The first thing was what you studied, because if you're a computer scientist, if you're someone who's a data wrangler, they know what you studied. When I saw what you studied, geographic information sciences, I went, what is that? And then as I started going through things and came up to what you're doing, and you've had a great opportunity to participate over at Wollongong University here in Dubai with 9 and 10-year-olds using the Wizard of Oz methodology, coupling the Wizard of Oz methodology with geographic information science. I went, this is an interesting person. So I am making the bold assumption that a lot of people don't know what geographic information science is. And I'd love you to explain it to us.
Oh, it's amazing science, to be honest. It's base of everything that's happening with us day to day. If we see a building and we're trying to assume what we will see from this building, geoinformatics will help you to imagine that. Where could be the hill? What you will see behind this hill? How to make a road to this building shorter? Will it be comfortable? How much fuel it will cost for you? And all these details it programmed. And you use a lot of tools. And actually these tools are very powerful and like world known between geoinformatics. And for sure it like helping millions of people and affecting on millions, but nobody knows about it. As well, it's like cartography. So Google Maps, OpenStreetMaps, all other maps made by geoinformatics. So because these maps could be used for making tracks, to edit it, to zoom out, and all of that, it's also was done by geoinformatics teams. And one of the jobs that was offered to me when I was a student is to help to emergency department when rivers come down from their flow. So you need
they're flooding, they're overflowing. Yeah, okay.
You need to monitor and create some specific workflows to know what happened. So this is the work that geoinformatics does.
Very cool. When I was reading your path and what you've done, since you've graduated and started to put things into practice, the second thing that came to mind was that so many students, they do masters, they do their BAs, etc., finish and they go, what now? You seem to have really followed a path that is well linked to what you studied. I mean, it seems to have infinite possibilities, but you seem to be using the core of what you did to advance along things. Am I reading into that, or are you going, no?
There was a huge finding for me when I came to my first job that was related to geoinformatics. I had to do the plans, not plans, like maps with a very, very big scale for gas pipelines. So I used 3D scanned like cloud of dots and so on. So that was very, very boring work. And when I
A
found
lot of work that we do is
yeah,
boring.
but it was so
Oh,
mind-blowing boring.
Mind-numbing, mind-numbing.
You cannot even imagine. And once I was sitting and I was a kind of student, like only 2 weeks on this job, like it was practice. And then woman came into the room, and she was about 40 years old, and she was talking about the same thing that I'm doing right now. And I found a way, no, looks like I will do that 20 years and nothing will change.
And at that moment, the light went off, and it's like, I have to get out of here.
Yes, this is what I did. And I put, because before uni, I was I was involved into web design. It was not a real job. It was like a freelance for school student. And then I made a CV about freelance job and in a web design, and applied to multiple jobs, and I got the job in a design field. And that's how like my cartography journey started to work in a parallel with the design and digital products.
So it was almost accidental in a sense then. You saw the light. It's like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And you linked your hobby, linked your part-time work, your side gig, brought them together.
Yeah. Because the only one thing that was really, really helpful for me in a university was databases, programming, and statistics.
Okay,
So
well, those are three heavy topics that a lot of students do not want to take.
Yeah, but this is the most important things on your career journey. This is the only things that will help me. I know actually transgressions and regressions of the C was not helpful at all. What to do with that information?
Yeah.
But if you know how to work with database, you can create a huge product that like millions of people can be involved because you know how to manage that.
Yeah.
And that helped me to go like where I am right now.
I would put you in the category of a serial entrepreneur, a serial innovator. You've in a very short period of time, you've done a number of really cool things. Where do you want to start? I mean, I'm looking at things, and business Gloc.al, that's very interesting.
It's what I do right now. It's like my path of life.
Tell us about this.
My co-founder Alex, he was involved in the multiple processes, multiple businesses before, and he saw the opportunity that most of the SMEs, they doesn't have any chance to scale their business because it's too expensive.
Right.
Yeah, to apply for example, if you want to translate your website, it might take like a couple of months, and you need to hire a developer who will change architecture of your website, because if it's e-commerce, it's completely different way. Like you cannot just translate HTML. And he saw the opportunity that we can use technology that he saw in corporations with the SMEs if we will just change user experience.
Okay, hold on a second. So we've got SMEs, we've got trying to get larger audiences, larger participation, and one of the big pieces where we're going with this is how to translate the user experience as you change the way your website is working for those specific audiences.
For now, we're just translating the website without changing user experience. For sure, for Arabic language, for example, it could be like from right to left, not from left to right. But thanks to AI, we see an opportunity that we can change it as well. But for now, we found that you cannot just translate your website. It won't work. you need to translate a backside of the website as well, like descriptions, meta tags, tags. So everything that is behind that was done manually. Most of the ways is done manually.
Mind-numbing work. The work that people want to leave the field for.
Yes, definitely. There is a kind of fabrics of people who does it like very, very cheap.
Okay.
This is hard work, definitely. But we found a way that AI can do that, like in a couple of clicks.
Oh, man.
And we created an algorithm with our team. So it's not a big team. It's just only 4 or 5 people in the startup at all. But we created that system when you can like connect any website, and that will be applied with multiple features like plugins that and reworked, and the final user will see not your original website, website on another language that was updated with all this background stuff. And as well, we found that we can change even appearance of the website regarding the area where from this person visiting this website. So it's a huge opportunity when you can play with the website appearance for different customers.
Okay.
So we plan to work on there. When you, for example, visiting website from Sharjah, and you have text written for people in Sharjah, like tags that was replaced from downtown to Sharjah, like laundry in Sharjah. When I'm Googling, I see the results. And in case of Gloc.al, your website will be translated and keywords will be replaced from downtown to Sharjah. So as a business owner, I don't have to create like thousands and thousands of different pages for each area of the city. That can be done automatically. This is what we go to give this technology to just regular users, because it can be done.
If we didn't, one of the key things that you said a few minutes ago was that before we had some of these AI tools available to us, this would be an arduous, a long, drawn-out task, going through tags, going through metadata, redoing it, but a number of clicks now. You obviously have to have your algorithm, you have to know what you're doing, you have to know the tools, but thanks to AI, suddenly there's some great opportunities in front of us.
Yes, it's such a huge opportunity. Those boring jobs finally can be replaced. So people can do something that really matters for them.
How do you and your team deal with, and I just want to put on another hat here, because obviously you're watching and reading the news, you're over at In5 in the incubator there, you're around a whole bunch of people who are talking about what's going on, because all of a sudden generative AI has come onto the agenda. AI has been around for a long time, but suddenly, because of things like ChatGPT and others, people are starting to talk about it. People have kind of woken up. When people start talking about these tools, one of the big things they start to say is, oh, what about the elimination of jobs? Oh, what about the bad side? Oh, what's your take on all of this? How do you talk to people about AI?
I feel that it will never replace real jobs. Like job.
What do you mean? It'll never.
No. Let me explain.
Yeah.
It's not so smart as we think. So you need to ask right questions. Mm-hmm. For example, those work that Gloc.al does, most of the entrepreneurs doesn't do at all. They don't know that it have to be done. They cannot hire a person to do that job because they doesn't feel that it needed. They don't know that it had to be done. And in case of AI and writing articles, for example, for Gloc.al itself, become available a huge resource just for subscription with OpenAI. We got like copywriters. So we have only 1 or 2 people who's writing the main content, and then AI helping and like improving this content, multiplying this content. And that means that those work that we had, finds a person somewhere, a very expensive person who will be writing, taking a look what's happening, writing some extra paragraphs, I don't know, something related to SEO as well, and spend months and weeks and thousands of dollars instead of having a one guy for $500 who's just writing these articles and he doesn't care much because AI cares.
Right.
So we improved because I didn't have resources.
So hold on a second. in one breath, you still need writers because you need a smaller number of them. You need someone who understands and can make sense of things, so that when the AI is generating some content based on the content that you've put in, you still know it's correct. So in a sense, yes, we're going to get rid of a few people, but we're going to keep the people that are very much tuned into what we're trying to write, who are very committed to it, who are, knowledge leaders in a sense.
Yes, otherwise it will never work, because it will generate the content to you, but it will not make any sense.
So you have to know your stuff. So it almost raises the bar of where we're working and what we're doing. Sort of you've still got to go through the process, but you get to a much nicer place in the end, where instead of spending days and days writing content, you can write that original piece and then reformat it 3, 4, 5 times.
Plus, it's more pleasant to read it. Yeah, I will tell you one story.
Sure.
Once my co-founder published a post on LinkedIn, and I was reading that, and I thought, wow, he learned how to explain his thoughts. Wow, it's amazing. I finally understood what he meant. And then I asked him, like, how you did that post? He said, it's AI wrote this. And I'm like, what? How is it works? Why AI writing better than you? But for him, like a person who cannot do that, and I will and I was trying to teach him, it's impossible. He cannot. But he still has a good knowledge that he can share. So AI for him is like a not a device, but like for people with disabilities, they can help themselves with mechanic arms. And this is the same thing for person who cannot explain his thoughts. It's like a mechanic arm that helping him to communicate with the world.
Paul could put together the prompts based on his, hey, these are the core ideas that I want to get out. It then helped him put them together. And then he went back and edited that content.
So
away we go.
You also put their keywords, like this person does this, such many years experience, that field, and so on. So you're putting like tags that are very, very important keywords, and then it become a text that can be readden by people. Otherwise, it not work.
So your whole industry, a lot of what you're doing is AI fueled. So you are not an AI skeptic at all. You're an AI champion.
I hope so. Because if we will not accept it, it will win us. So we also had to be a step further. And what I found, like, we was using OpenAI for 2 years before, even without
2 years.
Yeah, but nobody knew about it.
Well, I mean, look, OpenAI has been around for 7 years. You've been using it for 2 years. No one knew about it. And I mean, that is 2 years as a business in the startup field, in the technology field, that you've been learning and honing your skills. 2 years, people are now playing catch up.
2 years, it's not too much as we may think, right? But it gave me an option to write a lot of text and articles when people didn't know that they can do that.
Yeah.
So we generated like tons of the content as a small media for our website during that.
So, I mean, you've been using OpenAI for 2 years. So you become an interesting person to ask this question to. In those 2 years, how have you seen the tool change?
Actually, not too much.
Oh, really?
I still doesn't see the difference between ChatGPT 3 and 4 when you're writing a content. For sure, there is some improvements, but when you give them a lot of keywords, it's still good. So, if I'm not wrong, there was a three plus version, then fourth version. So I didn't see the difference too much, because maybe my processes is not so deep. To compare, but in the writing content, it's still well. And one thing that I'm still trying to get from Microsoft now, they promised to startups access to ChatGPT 4. And it can be done only through Azure, their cloud solution. So I applied in the beginning of March, and there's still a bureaucracy when I'm writing them. writing them messages, like real emails. Oh, write to this person. And I'm
Oh,
going
no.
then they're redirecting me to another person. Once I messaged them to the LinkedIn, just under one of the posts that they gave access to some of the startups to that tool. And they said, oh, so you need to message to this. And they gave me a third email about that. So I'm like, what's happening? Why this company is so big and so strong and they still have it?
They need a project management tool. That's what I'm hearing. ClickUp. They need to get onto ClickUp or Monday.com or something.
HubSpot.
Yeah, HubSpot.
But when you like in a small startup, you was not touching that huge type of companies. But now when I faced that, it's a huge corporation that's really hard to communicate, and they do a lot of job just to become like unachievable for some emails. So they're replying that the deal's not moving.
And that's, I mean, when you talk about that dilemma, it's completely polar opposite to the world you're living in. You're nimble, you're a small group, you're activating on things, you're having those conversations. They're a giant disattached group who's clearly not having the conversations and not able to work very nimbly. They can roll out these big giant things, but they've been in the works for quite a long time.
Yes, and they trillion company. And you know what? One thing that I found, they are even slower than a governance.
Well, if Mr. Bill Gates is listening, your former company is slower than a government. Time to have a chat with them to speed things up. Maybe they need to use generative AI a little bit more too.
Definitely to like ask ChatGPT to optimize processes to move quicker.
There we go. Since they've spent $10 billion in this company.
You know that ChatGPT, OpenAI pays to Microsoft $500,000 per year.
Wow.
No. No, not that.
Billion?
Yeah. Or maybe it's not too much. So I remember there was a half of a very, very big number.
Maybe $500 million?
$500 million, yeah, I think. There was about 470 something, I think, millions.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
It's too much.
Yeah.
So it's like a crazy numbers. And that was cool thing that Microsoft, invested to OpenAI to pay for servers of Microsoft.
Yeah. That's quite a nice circle. Hey, I want to talk about another one of your adventures.
Oh, sure.
Beyond Industries.
Oh, actually, our previous clients of Gloc.al, not Gloc.al.
Yeah.
There was another story. Like I will try to tell it shortly because we had a Unicorn Witnesses as a community. And this community, we united to create a product, like commercial product, because community is non-profit, and we was like, okay, we need to earn money. Let's do something. And we had a co-founder in India.
Uh-huh.
We went to the India, and as a result, nothing happened. So we lost those company. Beyond Industries was one of the first clients of those company.
Okay.
And when we got in a very, very bad situation, I made a call to Dima, his CEO, and said, like, we will not try to do chargeback because we lost this company, no bank account access, nothing. So, and I cannot give you a service because it's like closed. He said, okay, I will try to do something. He did or did not, I don't know, but we had like a few calls later. So I told him like what's happening, in which situation I'm right now. Like I'm opening a new company here in 5. So, and once he said like, Ola, I need a person who will help me with the business development. So like, for example, in UAE and somewhere else. So I need someone who will come to the calls with the companies like Plarium and so on when I cannot do that. I said, oh, okay. I didn't have much, opportunities because my company was only incorporating and I had some tasks to do. So this is how I started to work with the Beyond. But they provide a small, they provide kind of microservice for games.
I know. I was reading about this and I went, now this is another cool thing. And I could see how you'd get involved in that.
So the mostly I got involved when Dima called me and said, Ola, how far is the airport from you?
I love that kind of, how far is the airport for you? We need you here now.
It was kind of that. and I took a look on a map and I found myself right in the middle between 2 airports. And I said both like the same. And he said, okay, you need to fly to Belgrade.
Belgrade.
on a conference, because I
Okay.
cannot do that. It will take for me like 2 days because there's multiple planes. But from you, it's like 6 hours only.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I just negotiated with him not to fly the same day, but in the morning to had a chance to buy warm clothes because there was -2.
Okay. Yeah. It's frosty.
Yeah, and that's how I like become very, very involved. I came on the conference, and there was a game development conference. There was a lot of companies that were, like publishers, marketing, game developers. So I got a lot of warm contacts as well. So this is how we was promoting beyond industries for this type, because it's like, as I said, it's kind of microservice that connect to your game, and you don't need to develop the same as Gloc.al. You need to develop challenges, events inside of the game. So you're just connecting to the platform, launching it there, and it saves you like months of work and thousands of dollars
Wow.
for development.
So it's all about freeing up time.
Yeah.
And efficiency.
Yeah.
Using technology.
For now, what I found, I started to research the companies that does the same thing, and I found out like a Firebase is also, if I'm not wrong, it's a Google company. They become really huge just because they scaling this microservice of logging. That's all.
Okay.
They don't do much.
That's it. Just
Yeah,
logging.
but it's required. We was using them since like last month, because for us it's too expensive to develop it ourselves. So it's easier to get their processes, pay for subscription, and have working product inside of our platform.
Wow.
Yeah, and I found out that the world in the future will be created in these small bricks of Lego.
Okay.
When you're creating something valuable. The same way, for example, OpenAI, they're connecting to your platform to help you. So how you want to use if jump back to AI. So for example, we have like a lot of pictures on a web page, and nobody wants to write description and alts for these pictures. It's like a partly work for robots and partly for people, but people even describing it badly. But it's a perfect job for OpenAI. Like it does it better than anyone else.
Wow.
And you're just connecting API to your platform that connected to the customer's website. And this is how you're giving a chance for people who doesn't know and doesn't imagine how to connect all these tools to their website. Because you have to have a huge technical background and a lot of time to do that. But we did. You're just connecting platform. That's how and this is what Beyond also do. So they created a lot of events. You're just pushing the button. New challenge on your game.
It's amazing. I mean, and the interrelationship between small groups who have put themselves together to meet very specific tasks, and they're now becoming part of other ecosystems.
Yeah, specifically in 5. It's amazing what's happening there. We're like a boiling soup, you know? Oh, this guy does IP telephony. Oh, this guy does marketing. Oh, they do merch. Oh, they do design. Or there is a startup that will translate your website so you can finally get Chinese who will buy a lot of property from you. So
amazing.
Yeah, and what I found, like for small startups and small businesses, the best thing that can be is community.
Which is where In5, if you're in Dubai, In5 has a number of sites now. One at D3, one down at Knowledge Village, etc. And it is a really cool environment where a bunch of startups and workspaces exist, and the opportunity to collaborate is, as you said, it's soup bubbling. The limits are what you put on them.
Definitely, but you need to have some extra power to communicate to the people, because some startups are still closed. And when they get into trouble, you cannot help them because you don't know that they are in trouble. And there is a couch in a kitchen.
Okay.
And I think like maybe 5 or 10 people are sleeping there regularly.
Oh no.
Even I had a few nights there when I didn't have place to shift from one apartment to another. For a few days I spent there, and now there is a guy who sleeps like 1 week because his bank accounts got blocked in his origin country.
Oh no.
And they asking him to come back to unblock it.
Right.
It's
This is the challenge of being a startup, isn't it? It's the other stuff. Like you've got these great ideas, you're trying to market it, you're trying to get interest in it. And if you're not talking to other entrepreneurs, but there's a fear, I don't want to say too much because you're going to get my idea and you're going to steal it. But
nobody.
No. I think this is that misconception is, and I always talk about this, is look, you've got this idea. You've been working on this idea for years. You're going to tell me about the idea and I'm going to say, I can go do it. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the thought process that I've gone through to get to this point to realize the idea like you have. And I think a little bit of sharing can help multiple people and yourself on, oh yeah, that's another wrinkle I can get at.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I test ideas like that.
Oh, nice. So you must have some really way out there ideas. People go,
what I found, you will never believe me. This is the thing when you're sharing ideas, it works the best because people, oh, I need that feature. Oh, I don't need that feature. You can never know like what happening. But as you said, people really afraid to share ideas.
It's weird, isn't it?
Nobody need this trouble,
Well, and the other side, I think it's just the way business works in general, or the old business ideas, because as you said, business today is like Lego bricks, and you're using a little bit of this business, a little bit of that business. You're putting them all together in your own business to make it work. Whereas the old idea of business is you're in an office tower, we lock the doors, we don't let anything happen. A little bit like way Microsoft and Google work. We lock the doors, it's all in-house, there is no sharing, there's no collaboration except in our doors. And unfortunately, in our new world, which is nimble, spaced out all over the place, and a lot of entrepreneurs working crazy hours, it's all about collaboration.
Yeah, definitely.
And cross-ecosystem collaboration.
Yeah, I know the team inside of Win5. So they collaborated with 2 or 3 other startups to make even possible to create their product. So for them, it was dramatically important because only a startup at Win5 had enough, API connections and prices that like for them was truly valuable. And it's really a surviving thing. Like you collaborate just to survive. Otherwise, you will die. There is a lot of startups that dead. And people just didn't have enough of power inside of burning a fire inside. Because sometimes people just moving. Then they said to co-founder, okay, I don't want to work together anymore, and they just leave. And so that they had a half of your company, like 50% of the shares. It's the thing of in5 companies. It's operational companies. It's not a holding ones. So it doesn't work like a vesting or something. When you're like, okay, I'm leaving, and then the rest of the shares goes to your co-founder. It works like, okay, I'm leaving, and you still have 50% of this company, and you need to go to the governance and shift this shares back or sell the shares. So it's a cost about $1,000.
Wow.
So
okay.
If you're like broke, will you even try to pay it to give these shares back? Probably no. And this is how like a lot of startups died. And they're dying just because they don't have enough, advices as well.
That's the other side of it. I so many companies I've spoken to, it's the little things that could have drowned them. With not having an accountant to talk about finances and thinking, oh, we can make it work. We don't need that. No, you do need someone who can talk finances, and thinking about manpower, thinking about knowing the backside of things, understanding the programming world. If you're relying on a programming base, you might have a great idea, but if you don't understand the architecture that's running it, you need to have that person. So it's having those conversations.
Yeah. And as you said, like you need a person who could be your like technical co-founder. It's so important. It's a pain.
Yeah.
Because
and there's people who love that. So that when we say that, shifting a little bit back to this whole AI conversation and we'll get back to where you're going, but where people say, oh, the doom and gloom is coming, it's going to be used for bad. Hey, everything can be used for bad. Cars can be used for bad. We see people, get in a lot of trouble in that way. But what AI is freeing up for us, as you said, is people who enjoy, love certain areas. It's making it really possible for them to go there. People who don't love certain things like writing, they don't have to go there anymore because we can shift that to a few people who are really good at it to generate all sorts of content. So it's AI becomes this liberating thing.
Yeah, it definitely is the thing that gives you like an option to act. Because, for example, if we will say like about OpenAI and their development and everything that they did with the tons of the whole internet was uploaded there till 2021. So can we imagine how much of information is there? But the one of the more important things is that the most of the internet is done in English. But not all the people are speaking English.
Yes.
So the majority of the world doesn't speak in English.
This is a problem.
This is the problem because they're trying to use OpenAI in their native languages because they cannot communicate. You cannot ask questions and understand it quicker if you're not native with this language. And this is another problem when there is a lack of information on other languages at all. And what we found, for example, with Gloc.al, that the internet is not inclusive at all. So, for example,
the internet is not. That's what I keep hearing. The internet is completely inclusive. You're saying no, it's not.
No. Let's imagine. For example, I'm a person from like small country like Azerbaijan, and there's not much people. I don't know, maybe less than 5 million. So, if I will go to the internet on my native language, will I find something valuable?
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. I need to know English to make a right request, to ask right question. For example, in CIS region, like the common language is Russian. And even in Kazakhstan, there's more websites, more books in Russian. And this is the problem when, according to the scientists or business magazines, for example, Harvard Business Review, they have a delay like 3 or 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
That's a lifetime in the world of tech.
Yeah, because it's very expensive to buy like original. So the vendors, they was waiting when it will become cheap or free and then translate. So people got all information with a delay with the 5 years.
That explains a lot when you go to some countries, especially if they're operating in languages that aren't English, why some of their tech industry, some of their online industry just seems slow and old. And it's simply because it's taken them a long time to be able to translate and create indigenous language products. That's okay. That answers a lot of questions. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's all about like communication. There's a lot of people who came here. They speak in English so badly. They even Google in Russian here, and I'm like, why? What? Because they cannot understand. Once I was walking home, and I saw on the traffic light there was a small piece of paper where it was written in Cyrillic. Rent of bikes in Cyrillic, and I'm like, why? What's happening in here?
Maybe they're only looking at a very specific population to rent bikes to.
Yes, because it's common in CIS when you always see on the walls some notifications, and they try to take business model from there here, and because people this is how they interact. Right. This is how they read, understand. And what we found, for example, according to Gloc.al, we found that in that case, what we can do, that each website can be translated and searched in the different languages.
So this is, you're going to offer this. This is a wonderful service that is going to really spark innovation globally.
Yeah, I believe that we could do that because it's not very common to say about what I understood. Because for me, it's not a common way at all explaining myself and explaining what I do. But I found that the thing that we're developing is the same level as a companies like Shopify that does like whole websites, and for example GoDaddy that provides domains. Because
so you're sort of a combo of Shopify and GoDaddy, and there we go. That's what Gloc.al is all about.
Yeah, and what I found we're very similar to Stripe, because Stripe gives an option to sell worldwide.
Right.
And I found that Gloc.al is an option to attract customers worldwide. So you in a one click as a Stripe does. In one click, you got like the whole infrastructure. The same way you in one click got the whole infrastructure of websites in different languages that can be searched by people in their native language. So it's like a kind of the main feature when you like boom and 40 languages.
So what's the big challenge Gloc.al's facing at the moment? What's your biggest challenge today?
For sure, it's financing.
And you know, I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, why wouldn't people be all over this as an investment tool, not just in the UAE and the Middle East, but globally? As you said, places that, you know, it could be in Thailand, it could be in, you know.
Because I just got to this idea in my head.
Okay. It's new today. When you head back to In5, you're going to say, listen, this is what we do. This is how we have to talk about ourselves. And I mean, that goes right back to your whole issue of the challenges of an online world is the ability to communicate what we do, how we do it, why we do it, and why it's in person. If you don't have those communication skills, as you said, you can have the best startup in the world. It's going to fail.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is true. For example, we have one of startup founders. He came here. He doesn't speak English at all.
Uh-oh.
And he got into In5. I don't know how.
Google Translate.
Probably. So he made a pitch. He did all the work done. And he's really amazing. Yeah. He's a very talented entrepreneur. And now he found out, he was sitting with his friend and he took a look at him and said, you know, Rustam, why are you still not a billionaire? And he said, why? Because he doesn't know English. And for a few past weeks, he started to learn English very, very actively.
Wow.
And he now speaking even better. Because, for example, has a community, 80,000 people who are fans of his products. But yeah, but they're from Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, and they doesn't speak in English. And they need to translate all their products and shift all marketing strategy worldwide.
Gloc.al.
Yeah.
Go Gloc.al.
Yeah, and I'm already sitting nearby and okay, you know what you need to use?
Here it is.
Yeah, for your marketing strategy, this is the best tool. And actually, this is what really stops founders, because he's very, very communicated. Yeah. He knows everyone according to Russian language.
Right.
But now he made a level up. Now he got a friend more. He doesn't speak in Russian at all because he's from Palestine.
Okay.
It's like he started to build community around himself with non-Russian speakers.
Fantastic.
And I'm like, whoa, this person is so motivated. Yeah. He's such a huge, energy inside that most of startup founders had to have it, because he got these results with a huge community, 80,000 people who his buyers, only because of his energy, because he's always enthusiastic and involving people. And when you're sitting, as you said, sitting at home and thinking about your idea that someone will steal it, it will never work. So what he did, I will explain. He said, okay, people does trading and they're failing with trading. And I decided to change it. So I created 8 cartoons that will turn you into a professional trader after 8 weeks. So 1 cartoon per week and you will trade as a professional.
How long are the cartoons?
8 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very, very short. Yeah. And I presented in one of the chats where people are learning, and they really trade and earn money. And I'm like, what happening? They just watched cartoons and they trade. They understood how it works. So I saw some of the cartoons and I found out, wow, what means Japanese candles? Why this is why they looks like that. Yeah. So it was not a difficult information, but for me it was mind blowing because I understood that. The whole trading works in a different way.
And again, he's communicating in a language and through a medium, cartoons, that people will sit and watch and activate.
Yeah. Wow. So it's like a way of communicating. Yeah. And if you and he tells this idea to everyone, nobody repeat it. Yeah. No, nobody. Yeah. Just because it's too crazy. And what? Cartoons will change the world? But he made a huge event inside of In5. He presented in a lot of conferences and got speakers that had 1 million subscribers on Twitter. But and this is because he's like obtaining with all his network.
Right.
And that, like, as I see, like those who sitting just not doing anything, not talking to anyone, they just on the same level. But those who communicate, oh, I know this person, we can do the partnership. We can
Right.
do the partnership with his partner. And they, it's like a step by step by step
Oh,
by
man.
step, and
Yeah.
they going on a top. And I'm not for a long time at N5, only half of the year, but I saw all this, journeys. When you're working day to day and building your network and doing sales, and when you're just improving your product and nothing changes because you're improving nothing for nothing,
Yeah.
for nobody.
One last thing I want to ask you about, and this is the health ecosystem app that you put together, the Muted app.
It was my first my own idea and startup. Like,
you know what? I loaded it up and I went, what is this? And then instantly I went, what a great app.
So you heard the sound?
Yes. Yeah. And,
Oh,
at first, because I went to the site and it's there and there's not much description or anything. And I'm looking at him going, what? And then you put on the sound. So describe what this is, because I'm describing it, but it's what a great idea.
Really?
I think so.
Oh my God. You're the first person who like telling it so loud, because mostly it was my like personal challenge to do
Okay.
that. I quit the job. And I was, because on my like previous job, I was sitting and thinking, okay, I need to do some startup. And because it was a studio of designers and web developers, I was like, let's develop something together. Let's be a product team.
Let's do something.
Let's do. Because I'm so tired of this customers' not products, even just websites or online stores. It's very boring. And they said, okay, well, maybe you will develop something, bring to us, and we will sell it to someone. And I'm like, that sounds not really, trustworthy. Why I should develop, bring it to you, and you will sell? Maybe I will just create something by myself. And then I started. I quit the job. We had another startup with my co-founder. She moved to Israel, and then it like was done. And I'm like, well, okay, what I can do by myself. And once I was sitting in the living room, and I heard a sound from the washroom of my neighbor, and I'm like, why I'm hearing that sound?
Yeah.
And I found out like, okay, when I'm visiting washroom and some guests comes to visit me, they probably hear my sounds from there also.
Yeah.
And I was switching on the water tap, but water tap it's like a wasting of water for just a sound. And I was researching and found out that in Japan there is a very popular sound machine, but it costs like $200. It's a very, very small thing that applies to the wall with a button with the sound of water.
Okay.
And I'm like, it's unfair.
It's a masking sound. So, we don't have to hear our bodily function noises, especially in thin-walled places. We don't want to hear that. We get embarrassed. Japan has an answer. You created an answer that is equally as useful.
Yeah, but in the mobile phone.
Yeah.
But
Because everyone takes their mobile into the washroom. Deny it, or if you want to, everyone does. I think we could get more mobile phone usage, scrolling, loading.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that was really funny because I decided, okay, let's do that. I opened an online lesson on YouTube how to create application. And that's true. I downloaded not test flight this ecosystem of development at Apple with a Swift UI. So I created this application directly by this lesson. So there was not difficult thing. There was animation and a button. So I created this and put it on the internet and said, okay, I need to launch it. And some people donated me like $100 to buy license from Apple. So I did it, but I was not smart enough to upload it and get all the compliances of Apple to make it live. So that's how that's why I paid for the website and created there was a bigger website, to be honest.
Okay.
But that was very dramatic, also black, and we decided to shift for a more simple version because it was very complicated. Just a circle and the button with the sound, and that's all. But before that, I had an idea that people has kind of difficulties visiting washroom that caused with their embracement, caused with some health issues and so on, and they need to track it.
Okay.
And I thought, like, okay, if as a woman has tracking applications for their cycle, so there could be the same thing for people just on regular basis who cares about their bowels. And I had a small team, and was trying to develop that app, but that was failed because we moved to UAE, and there was no team there who will support it. So that's how it, like, just the coverage with the sound. But there was a guy who was from Unicorn Witnesses. It's our community, as I told before. He developed a system that generates sound automatically, like in the games.
Okay.
So I think that we will release it in the next time.
All right. Gamify it a little bit.
Yeah.
What an interesting idea.
So sound will never repeat.
Right.
So you can see entirely in the washroom and never hear the same sound of water. So.
Could be Niagara Falls one day. Could be. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, but I believe that it's still, have a chance to live, because I still get messages from people who's asking about this application.
There you go. You see.
I found there is a 220 million people who has paruresis. It's a health issue, mostly mental issue. When in a childhood you was scared. When you was urinating, for example, and then when you visit public places, you cannot do that again.
Right.
Some people, they keep in them, they're not visiting washroom or toilet for 18 hours.
Oh no, that's wrong.
So one guy shared, when I was making user research, one guy told me that he had a train journey, and during that time, more than 24 hours, he was not able to go to the toilet, because he said, I went inside, I was standing, pushing myself, nothing happened, and I came back. So only at home is a safety place for them. So with the time, these people stop to have a social life. So they closing, they're not visiting public events, so it's like completely went online. They cannot travel for sure because it's hours. They cannot drink water. They can't go to the bar with their friends.
Wow, okay.
So it's a huge problem. But for me, the challenge was why we were not successful on promoting that. Because when I went to the closed chats and said, oh, I want to develop application for you with like gamification, when you will teach yourself and when you will learn how to escape these situations and feel better. And they said, oh, you want to earn on us. Like, go away from here. And nobody shared with me, like, with their experience. It was very, very hard. I tried maybe 4 months to get feedback from them, but I found out that, like, it's a too closed community that I cannot get access.
So this is in a sense partially, I mean, when I'm hearing this, I'm thinking, okay, the stuff you're doing, you were doing at Wollongong with kids, participatory design, and getting people to want to talk about things, getting the people think about how things are working, getting people to rapid prototype and try them out. This sounds a lot like, hey, I've had this problem. I'm going to change people and get them open to this. And we're going to do it in a safe way. And as you said, using the Wizard of Oz methodology, which I had no idea what that was until I looked it up. And then I went, oh, this is cool. I mean, it sounds to me like you're helping to train a whole group of future entrepreneurs to be open to ideas.
Yeah. I didn't know that it could be kids. I had another workshop.
Tell us about this workshop. What in a nutshell, what does it do? What did it do?
So I had this type of workshop at In5 before. So I got invited. Like, we need something about design thinking. Because I was working as a product designer for many years. Like, after I shifted from geoinformatics,
mind-numbing maps and
So I did kind of mind maps, not cartography maps, but for sure, I got a lot of experience of creating products from zero, and how much resources are valuable. And I said, oh, yeah, sure, let's do that workshop for startup founders, because they do like perfect prototypes instead of making it raw. Test and improve. They do just a perfect picture from scratch, and then they get failed. So let's try to change it. So we created this workshop about Wizard of Oz. So in this methodology, what do? You create like a paper prototype and acting as a computer. And showing this prototype for the person, like, okay, complete this target goal. For example, register on the platform. And the person like clicks, wow, it was mind-blowing. People completely understand that this is the field, this is the button. It's not required to put it on the screen. So for them, it's very transparent.
Right.
And they're like, okay, it's a button. Like they clicking, it's a field. Oh, okay, I'm putting information there. So they even imitating like a typing. And this is how you, as a researcher, you see how do they think, how do they act, what do they expect to put in this field. And you don't need to create interface. You just spent 15 minutes to create this prototype and got feedback that costs you like days and days of work.
Right.
And this is what I was like showing to the In5 founders. And then I got an invitation, like, oh, do you want to do the same at the university? I said, yeah, why not? There is a student, so they probably like future entrepreneurs, and maybe some of them already has some ideas, so I will help them definitely. And then when I came, I met a woman, and she said, okay, girls will come soon. And I said, which girls? I said, did you know that it's just children from the, like as she said, like 8, 11 years old. Is it okay to you? And I said, nobody told me, but seems like okay. That was about the idea that I was talking about in this workshop was an application, not application, some website that's pretty complicated. And I said, look, okay, we will adapt that for children. But when I found out, these girls, they was so motivated and so active. And they was thinking about food, waste, about universities and so on.
Yeah.
So we created a prototype of the marketplace for universities.
Oh man, cool.
Yeah, and one of the girls was screaming like, "Oh, we need to charge parents. We need to charge them for children and their applications."
Okay.
And I said, why parents? Maybe universities, because they will earn on it, and them too.
Very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Very entrepreneurial.
And there was very small girls, and I was so surprised how active they were. The ideation was like mind-blowing.
Wow.
So many wide fields.
So again, you learned something from this. They're learning something, and you're learning something.
Definitely.
On moving forward.
Yeah, and I found out that they created like a very realistic prototypes on paper.
Wow.
So when I was working with the adult people, they did worst results.
Of course.
Because
the adults are censoring themselves. The kids are just going with it.
Yeah. And they did so much, so quick. So we didn't have much time, like an hour and a half, but they created a lot of paper and even like animated this paper.
Nice.
So they cut fields to make it like a real field. So that was very, very cool.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Yeah.
So what's Gloc.al looking like in the next 6 months? Where are you going with?
We found an advisory.
Yeah.
And that person had an experience in hospitality.
Okay.
So probably, as I believe, and I want to make it true, we will obtain more hotels as a customers.
Wow.
Because for and maybe some agencies, tourist agencies.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, because for them it's really important to make people Google them from abroad.
Yeah.
And this seems like it fits perfectly with that. But for me, as a person who new here, I don't have much network. It's really hard to just knock at the door of the CEO of the hotel and say, okay, you need this feature that I developed.
Yeah.
Like, who will talk to me? Nobody.
Yeah.
So this is why it's important to have a network of the people who knows the right doors, just to talk and present. Because I was trying to catch the company WeGo. And they're a perfect customer for me, because they have the main platform translated more than 20 languages.
Wow.
But their blog is like a machine for search engines.
Okay.
It's only in English.
Oh, that doesn't work.
Yeah, because it's very expensive to maintain it.
Gloc.al can do it.
Yeah, Gloc.al can do it. And I was trying to catch them, to message them on LinkedIn, just to make a pilot for them, to see how I created a demonstration stand with a translated, already translated blog on another language, like made a video, uploaded to the internet, like please see. I thought that doesn't make sense. No, nobody replied.
Not yet.
Like, okay, it doesn't work, but I tried. So for me, as entrepreneur now, it's a huge problem because before that I was working in a B2C. So I pretty understand how to create a website where a person will buy just like a customer, not a business. But in case of business, I need to bring some relations there. And it's completely different approach that doesn't work as I used before.
Wow.
So it's time to learn like a day to day.
There we go. Hey, this has been a lot of fun, Olga. I gotta say.
I didn't tell a lot of jokes because.
How do people get a hold of you? Someone's listening to this. Someone's watching this. They're going, we need to talk. How do they get in touch with you? What are you?
WhatsApp, Telegram, like Gloc.al's website, but mostly Telegram. I'm most active there because I don't know. It's like a new social network.
Okay. How do we find you on Telegram?
It's Edra Olga Nayda.
Okay. All one word. Olga, Olga Nayda.
Yeah, but Oli.
Oh, Oli.
Nayda.
Okay.
It's a mistype because there's too many Olga Naydas in the world.
Okay.
And when I was creating accounts, all was taken.
All right.
So it's like Olga Nayda.
Okay. Excellent. Hey, this has been, as I said, a whole bunch of fun. And I wish you all the best. And I look forward to following up and keeping in touch and hearing where this is all going. Maybe we have to come down to In5 and just have a big chat with everyone.
Ooh, I would love to join you there because, there's so many startup founders that you need to take a look at because they are all amazing and open heart. So
there we go.
Feel free.
This has been Catching Up. My name is James Piecowye, coming to you from the Rove Hotel, downtown Dubai. And I've been speaking with Olga Nayda right here in Dubai and her company, co-founder, Gloc.al. You got to get in touch with them. You got to try them out.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me on this amazing, brilliant podcast session.
Thank you very much, Olga.
Yeah, I'm really in love with it. So thank you so much. Feel free to visit us in In5. There is a lot of opportunities for business, for young entrepreneurs who even didn't start their business yet. So please join. Apply within 5 and let's go together.
Looking forward to, as I said, catching up with you again, and we'll do it all again really, really soon. My name's James Piecowye. So long for now.